something else that we've seen, which has been unusual for us in the working world, is we have seen people get onboarded and work in jobs over the last 9 months or a year and never actually even walk into the office once, never actually shake hands of their manager or any coworkers, not actually have a meal with one person they work with. Can you deliver on a robust employee experience when those are some of the constraints?
Yeah, I get it. And I would say right now, because you're right, it's been about a year, probably close to half of my clients right now are exactly in that situation. So probably about half of my clients have never been in their own physical workspace, have never met their own colleagues or leader. And it's a pretty surreal experience. And I think that the answer is yes, right? I think that the answer is whether or not you've ever met anybody in person, are you finding ways to do these 4 things, right? Deliver, develop, connect, and thrive. And I think, yes, we've had to change up a lot of our strategies and our tactics. But as far as I'm concerned, the underlying mindset is still the same. When a new employee comes on, how do you make them feel welcome? How do you help them understand who your customer is and what your organizational purpose is? How do you ensure that they have the tools and resources? Now, what tools and resources they need are different now than they would have been a year ago, but your responsibility as an organization to be sure that they have those tools and resources has not changed. Your responsibility to recognize great work, to make sure that people have the opportunity to set boundaries. It looks different now, but it's fundamentally coming from the same place. And so, yes, I think we have had to change our how, but not our why and our what.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually what I wrote down was, kind of this idea of, remote workers. One of the antidotes that we can still kind of deliver on that employee experience is we just have to be more intentional about articulating. I just wrote down the word culture to kind of capture so many of those pieces, because I think so much of culture is a thing you kind of taste and feel and breathe. Walk into a place, hang out with people, you kind of get a sense of that. But if there's no physical space, then it has to be actually spelled out and communicated, which is what I heard you kind of say.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Wow. So, okay. So here's my last kind of question for this kind of conversation. What are some warning signs? What are some things that you think us as managers, leaders need to be really watching out for that could really derail the employee experience, both in March 2021, but even over the next 6 months as we go to something kind of towards normal ish? What are some things we need to watch out for?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's really important to always keep the finger on the pulse of how your teams are doing, right? I think staying in regular conversation and noticing if somebody seems different, somebody who used to speak up in meetings a lot suddenly seems really quiet, or somebody's quality of work seems to have fallen off, or you recognize that somebody on your team is sending you emails at literally all hours of the day and night, right? I think one of the things that's important to recognize is that being a leader is not the same as being a parent, right? So your team members are not your full responsibility or accountability. They have to be responsible for themselves. But it is there is an onus on leaders to be paying attention, right? And so if you notice somebody is sending emails at all hours of the day and night, and you raise it with them and you say, hey, listen, I'm concerned about the number of hours it seems like you're working. What can I do to help? And if that person turns around and says, you know what, I live by myself in an apartment, I have nothing else right now, and this is really what's occupying my brain, and I'm happy, then as a manager, there's nothing you need to do there, right? You need to raise the question, you need to note what's happening, but it's not your responsibility to necessarily make a change. So I think as leaders, the more that we're staying connected with our teams, we're making sure we're asking what they need, and we're really listening, we're hearing them, we're doing our best to be responsive, and that we are asking about what we as leaders can do more or less of to create these positive conditions. That's how I think we are going to achieve the best results. And I think the signs to watch out for are just any signals that your employees are giving you, either verbally or in their absence or in their silence, paying attention to those and just being curious about, hey, is everything okay? Is there anything you need from me?
Yeah, I also heard something in there. You used the word earlier. I heard also boundaries, helping them with boundaries, because we don't have the physical boundaries anymore of going in and working from 9 to 5. So there could be boundaries. But what I also heard in there, hopefully I'm interpreting this right, is you didn't say prescribe boundaries to them. You said check with them, make sure that they've got healthy boundaries, but allow them to set the boundaries that are going to work best for their life.
That is, and by the way, that is one of the beautiful parts of the pandemic as far as I'm concerned, because no, not everybody does have the same needs. You know, there are people who are young and single. There are people who are in midlife who are homeschooling their children. And there are people who are at a later stage of life and they've raised their kids. And, you know, everybody has different needs right now. And what it says on the clock is going to mean something different for everybody. And so listen, if you're at home homeschooling your kids and you need that 12 to 1 hour to feed them lunch, or you need that 3 to 4 hour to help them with homework, but you're willing to get the work done at different times of the day, being willing to advocate for yourself, just letting people know that this is what you need right now is really empowering. And you're right, it is not prescribing, it is inviting and asking.
Yeah, that's great. Rachel, this has been fantastic. Well, is there anything around kind of the employee experience that we haven't talked about yet that we should have?
No, I mean, I think we've hit on the biggest pieces, but what I really want to make sure people take away is I want everybody, leaders and non-leaders, to feel really empowered to play a role in crafting their own. So don't sit back, don't get frustrated that your organization isn't giving you the employee experience that you want. Be your own advocate and ask for it.
Yeah, that sums it up beautifully. So I ask all my guests this question at the very end. What is one life hack you have for us for how we can either have better conversations or healthier relationships, either at work or at home?
Yeah, it's such a good question. And I'm going to be a little bit repetitive here, but this is a drum I bang all the time. And I think that this really makes sense in the context of employee experience, in work and in life. And it is ask for what you need. And I am such a believer in that. I think so many of us carry around this sense of, I need to please other people. I need to put other people first. And you never keep your own cup full that way. And I think the best way to have a productive conversation is to ask for what you need, ask the other person in the conversation what they need. And when you're able to respect each other's needs, I think the quality and the substance of the conversation can be so much richer.